there's 1 in 1,000 adults that has served time in prison or are actually in prison. Who really knows what's going on inside of them? Today, you're going to find out all about the Canadian prisons. We're gonna ask the Canadians what they know about the prison. What do you know about Canadian prisons?
I don't know. They're safe.
Hi, what do you know about Canadian prisons?
Well, I think the prisoners have a heating system and food provided for them.
So prisoners go to prison just because they're poor.
Canadian prison has a philosophy.
According to the Canadian government, it's possible to turn the prisoners into good persons by imprisoning them and putting them in isolement. They also think that by offering them small jobs is going to help them. They think that jobs and formation will help them to reduce the criminal rates.
Prisoners have many options of activities and jobs to do during their imprisonment.
In the regular prison, the inmates have access to some education, religious service, and addiction service, while in maximum prison, the prisoners don't have access to that most of the time. Through vocational programs such as plumbing, welding, and small engine repair, prisoners are provided with jobs-related skills training relevant to employment opportunities available in the institution and in their communities.
They do psychological evaluations, they do educational grading, they do substance abuse testing, and they develop a correctional plan. They develop a plan to keep you out of this place.
Federal prisoners earn around $6.90 per day for their work while in jail, an amount that has not changed in more than 30 years. Most of the money they make is taken away by the prisoner.
Prison guards need to have ears and eyes everywhere. Prisoners are sleeping, working, doing activities, for example. The most important part to keep the peace in jail.
Maximum security institutions are the most restrictive since they house individuals who pose the greatest risk of escape and hence the greatest danger to society. Medium security institution, while the site is fenced as well, the rules are less restrictive. Officers are not armed, although weapons are available under lock and key. Minimum security institutions play a very important role in the process for returning offenders to the community. These penitentiaries are often like small communities where inmates live in units in groups of 7 or 8.
Are hard to find in prison, but they're the key to a safer and better lifestyle. A few of them succeed, but they mostly want to kill each other.
These are some of the things that were here when I arrived. Basically, they are found in the cells or in the shops.
Yves Delorier is Millhaven's preventive security officer. For every weapon that ends up in his collection, he knows there are countless more. Wow.
Yeah, so the inmate can have that sitting in his cup on top of his shelf, and unless you pull it out and look at it, you'd never know it was a weapon. Does it get used often? Probably more than we know.
About 30 incidents of assault are reported every year in between prisoners. In total, it's about 55 incidents of personal victimization are reported, while it's about 40 incidents of material victimization that are reported.
I think everybody that goes down for the first time is scared.
Do they prepare you for this in any way?
No, not at all. We When you walk through the door, it's you're herded into a cage. You're brought down to a cage. You're put in the cage, and you're left there for 22 hours a day. You're fed 3 times a day. You're not told any routine, any schedule other than your yard time.
The place that criminals spend most of their time is in their cells.
In general, in their rooms, there's nothing you can hurt yourself with. In the minimum cells, there's not much. There's no toilet because they live in units. In general, the cells are about 6 feet by 9 feet. They are pretty similar to the minimum, except they have a toilet and a sink. In general, there are single cells and double cells. There are securities on the windows and the doors lock automatically.
Every crime is different, therefore every criminal gets a different sentence.
In lockdown condition, what are the inmates not allowed to do?
They're not allowed to shower, they're not allowed to have visitors, and they're not allowed to access to all the programs that are available in jail.
What are the specific conditions they need to follow during conditional discharge?
Usually a judge will order them not to use alcohol or drug for a certain period of time. A judge might also order them not to go to certain places. In all the cases, a judge will order them to follow specific programs.
What is the difference between conditional discharge and absolute discharge?
A conditional discharge includes specific condition, and an absolute discharge doesn't include any kind of condition.
What is the definition of a probation?
The court can decide to release an offender on a probation. It means that for a certain period of time, the offender has to behave and to respect pieces in law.
What's a fine?
A fine is an amount of money that you have to pay as a penalty to the courthouse.
What ways can a criminal repay his fine to the government?
By doing community services.
In Norway, the prison system is based on rehabilitation and not vengeance. Inmates don't have a punishment except they are taking away their freedom.
There are no fights between prisoners and they even have access to knife in the kitchen. They have their personal bedroom and bathroom. Also, the maximum sentence is only 21 years.
In conclusion, we think that criminals deserve a punishment that they don't necessarily get in Norway.
Of course, the living condition there is better and ours can be improved because the relationship between prisoners is bad and dangerous. However, the guards are doing a good job with the criminals and are fair with every one of them.